Okay, well, um, today I wanted to talk about a little project I got going here and explain what I want to do and how I might get there and what I hope to get when I'm done. Anyways, it all kind of started right around the Christmas holiday. We were headed to one of our family functions and I saw this it's kind of a small console unit just sort of sitting at the side of the road. Obviously, somebody was throwing it away and I couldn't pass it up. The cabinet seemed in pretty good shape. So I went back and saw that it was a Zenith. It pretty much been gutted. It didn't have the tuner or preamp or turntable. Really just had the speakers that were still in it, which is like a 12-inch woofer and a probably 5 or 6 inch mid and 3 inch tweeter. Just one set, so it was kind of set up like a mono deal. And then it had what I thought was the entire power amp in the back. And I thought, well, okay, the cabinet's kind of nice, not in bad shape, and we've got a little tube amp here. So I thought I'll pick it up and, it's free, right? So got it home and took the amp part out here and put another receiver into the cabinet just to kind of have a place for it, really. And kind of looking at this thing and thought, it'd be kind of neat to see if I can get this going again. And so it had a sticker on it that gave the chassis number, which was a Zenith 3D32. So I punched that up in Google and found out pretty quickly that it was really not an entire power amp. What it is just the output stage of the system. So there would have been in a different chassis the preamp as well as the driver circuitry. So this basically doesn't have a driver. Um, well, I thought that's okay. I can probably figure out how to add that circuitry back in. And sure enough, I found a forum thread that talked about that very thing. It had the exact same amp. So that's probably what I'm going to do with it. Just tell you a little bit about it. It is the output tubes are 6BQ5s or EL84s, depending on what name you want to give them. And it is stereo. There were two. One of the output tubes is missing, but you can see that it has two output transformers, so it is stereo. I think with this console there was another cabinet that might have held the other set of speakers. But it's in pretty decent shape. I don't know anything about it electronically. It wasn't powered up. There was a whole. Well, I'll flip it over and kind of show you. So there was a whole big gaggle of wires that came out this end that were just hooked in various places in here, and I snipped all of those off, and but I did also write down what color the wires were and what they were connected to, and that turned out to be a good thing because, like I said, I was able to find some information on the internet. And one of the things I found, as soon as I get it pulled up here, was a schematic. And bear with me here while I pull this up. Nope, that's not it. Yeah, okay. Here it is. And it's actually not for the exact same chassis. I think it's like a 3B32. This is a 3D32 here, but everything that I looked at, every resistor, every cap, every socket, everything looks exactly the same. So I think that the differences were probably, further up on in the circuitry, or I don't know. I mean, the tubes were the same. Everything is exactly the same. So I felt like this is a pretty reliable, resource. And as I mentioned, this doesn't have an output stage, but what I'm going to do, or I'm sorry, it doesn't have a driver stage, but what I'm going to do is enlarge this hole here. There was a little four pin power jack that went to the turntable. Obviously, don't need that anymore. So I'm going to enlarge this hole, and then I'll put the driver tube socket in there, and then basically just incorporate, part of the schematic here, and it kind of this wire here is the power for it, and then this 7-pin connector here is actually right here in this chassis, and then this is the preamp chassis. There's the same 7-pin connector, and we go up here. Here's the driver tube here. It's a stereo. I think it's called like a dual triode maybe or something like that. I don't know a whole lot about tubes, very little in fact. But you know, I pretty much got this all figured out. There was a forum post, as I mentioned, that you know, kind of explained how to go ahead and wire it all up, how to incorporate this in. And I think between that and this schematic, it's probably pretty much within my capabilities. I just have to be real careful. I've never worked with high voltage DC, and you know, I know that some of these are like, you know, 300 volts. That seems like something that you wouldn't want to mess with. So, you know, I'll just be real deliberate about when I plug it in and when I don't. And you know, I want to replace this cap here, and then every other cap in the circuit will be new. There's one can cap here that actually I think it houses, you can take these apart, but I'm not going to do it. It houses like 3 different capacitors in it, and it's marked on the side what kind they are, how many microfarads and so forth. But I don't think I'm going to replace that unless it sounds bad. I think it's like a power smoothing sort of a deal, because the B plus comes off of here, goes right into that cap, and that probably is what the purpose of that is. I'm assuming. I don't know a whole lot about electronics, but I think I could probably feel my way through this. There's not a lot to it. It was kind of confusing to figure out, you know, oh, this point right here is actually, you know, this point on the circuit somewhere. But, you know, just a little time and patience, and spending an hour or two just kind of mapping everything out and reading the forum post. I think I can figure it out. So anyways, that's it. I've got to go ahead and order the all of the electronic components. I'm going to probably do that from Parts Express, and I think that'll come to about $45 or so. And then I just need to get the driver tube, and probably will just try to get a single EL84 output tube here. I'm assuming that these are still good. I have no idea. You know, I'm hoping they are. And then I'm just going to get a single here and plug it all in, and kind of see what happens. And you know, if I'm getting a bad sound or whatever, I'll probably go ahead and replace the tubes. So, you know, I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants here with this, but I think it'll turn out all right. What I want to do with it then is I want to actually kind of mount it in here, probably somewhere in the top where the turntable went, and then hook my line 6, which is back here, here in the closet. A little line 6 deal here, which would basically serve as a preamp, and then I'm going to kind of play my guitar through that, through the speakers that are here. So, you know, it'd be just kind of fun to mess around with, learn about tube amps. And you know, I've never really owned one other than a little Champ amp that I had, but this is actually a hi-fi set. But I think it should sound pretty good, and as long as I don't electrocute myself, I think it'll be okay. So, all right, well, we'll check back in, and you know, I'll probably be ordering the parts here in a day or two, and we'll see how it turns out and get everything wired up.